Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ship here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I am Darren Smith. This is a special that we're doing for Chiefs Sunday Night Football that's going to feature the Pittsburgh Steelers traveling in to take on the Kansas City Chiefs. Sunday night matchup at Arrowhead Stadium. Kickoff is at 7:15, and of course, stay right here over the next number of hours as we get you prepared for kickoff Sunday night. But going to have a lot of special guests on this show. But first and foremost, the guest that I have that I've been looking forward to talking to for quite some time. Did have a chance to talk to him during Radio Row last year while in Tampa Bay. But we have with us he's always going to be a two-time Super Bowl champion that he won during his tenure, during his 12-year tenure with the Pittsburgh Steelers. We are joined by none other than former cornerback Ike Taylor. Ike, thank you so very much for joining me today.
Smith, anytime.
Well, look, first things first, your thoughts on, and of course, kind of breaking news, but as a former player in the NFL, your initial thoughts hearing about the firing of David Culley that took place within the last couple of hours from the Houston Texans.
It was tough. It was kind of odd because from what I was looking at, the players was playing for him. You know what I'm saying? And really, that's all you can do. It's hard to capture and keep young and grown men's attention, keeping them motivated, keeping them active. So the fact that coach just got fired is kind of shocking news. It looks like around the league, there is no such thing as stability. And when you look at the stability part, all the teams keep winning. Pittsburgh Steelers, they've been winning for a while, stability. Green Bay Packers, they've been winning for a while, stability. New England Patriots, when Tom Brady was there, they've been winning for a while, stability. Sean McVay, stability. Coach over there in Buffalo, stability. So the owners who figured it out, the only way they're gonna win, man, is if they keep the stability. And that's basically just keeping the head coach and not bounce around with head coaches. So I think a lot of these owners, man, they get too antsy. They get too antsy, not only too antsy, they don't understand it's a marathon, not a sprint. Now maybe as a coach, maybe as an owner, if you're not looking at it, okay, I might can't go in the right direction, then I understand that. Like the Brian Flores firing, I couldn't understand that either. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at the stability. You got a guy who wins 7 of the last 8 games in Miami, and he wound up getting fired. You got a guy who's on the verge of making the playoffs. You got a guy who wanted Justin Herbert, but other people in the front office wanted Tua. So it's just like, man, that's crazy. So what I'm looking at, man, I'm just looking at the trend of the organizations who keep winning year in and year out, and that's the stability part of it.
Crazy thing is, of course, with his firing, it leaves your former coach, Mike Tomlin, as the lone and the only African American head coach left in the NFL right now. Of course, as you mentioned, Brian Flores being fired along with David Culley, so it only leaves one left. And Mike Tomlin is not in any jeopardy of losing his position, but again, they only have one is a travesty within itself. So I'll let you have the final word on that before we go further.
Yeah, it's tough. I forgot another team too, the Kansas City Chiefs. Stability.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's tough to see brothers don't get the chance. You hear players say it all the time, man, y'all keep recycling the same guys and wonder why these teams ain't going where you think they should go. But from me and my standpoint, why not get a brother? You know what I'm saying? The Eric Bieniemys, the Byron Leftwich, like what? Give them boys a shot. Obviously they capture a lot of attention. If you just look at the percentages of guys in the NFL, they're colored. If you look at the superstars, they're colored. And this is no disrespect to anybody else, but that's just what it is. That's just how it goes. Now, why not get a brother who's a head coach and give him a chance for stability? You see what Coach Tomlin doing, in Pittsburgh, but he feels good. He feels comfortable because he understands his owners and the guys from the Pittsburgh Steelers office, man, they ain't worrying about the outside noise. That's one thing I can say about the Pittsburgh Steelers. They never cared about what the media or what somebody else said. They only know what they know, and that's winning championships. And the only way you're going to have a chance or to win a championship or championships is having some kind of stability.
We're going to look at this game in just a second, but again, you played 12 years in the NFL, all of it with the Pittsburgh Steelers. So you've played your full career, I believe, with Ben Roethlisberger. So that being the case, your thoughts on it? If this looks like this is going to be the last ride for him, your thoughts on your time with playing with him during your career and his career coming to a close at the end of this season.
Oh, y'all call him Ben, we call him Seven. So seven is a gamer. You know what
I
I'm
just call
saying?
him Ben because his
Seven,
mama named him Ben.
yeah, seven is a gamer. Seven can pull a trick out of a hat anytime he wanted to. Seven in his prime, in his early 30s as well, got away from a lot of sacks. Yeah, Seven has been hit more than any other quarterback. Seven probably has been sacked more than any other quarterback during his tender. But at the same time, man, there is no other quarterback who could have played for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You want to talk about a hard nose. You want to talk about a guy who can't tie his shoes because his hips and his ankles and his knees hurt. You want to talk about a guy who's played through injuries. Other quarterbacks probably would have sat out for a couple of weeks or a couple of games. Seven ain't doing that. His love for the game is Pittsburgh, and I really do believe it's because of that city. That city rubs off on you. You know what I'm saying? That hard work, that blue collar. I don't know if you're a boxing fan, but when you look at the Paul Spadafores who came out years ago when I first came out there in the early 2000s Pittsburgh Steelers, that's just what it is. It's not a glamour and glitz kind of city. That city is, man, give me a Ford F-150 truck. Let me go to work. Let me get my lunchbox and let's handle our business. That city is, man, if you got a problem with me, let's put the guns down. Let's put the boxing gloves on. And we shake after that. That's that city. So that city is Big Ben. That's Big Ben all day. And not too many, well, I ain't going to even say not too many. Only thing that was one quarterback who could have played in that city of Pittsburgh, and the Pittsburgh Steelers got their quarterback, a future Hall of Famer, in Seven.
Mm, that's look. I can't disagree with you at all. And obviously, Mike Tomlin, he has. I mean, he has Pittsburgh all over. I mean, the way you describe the city, the way you describe his people, that's Mike Tomlin to a T. Now, looking at this game, and of course, the last time these two teams played was just 3 weeks ago. Kansas City beat them by 26. It was a 36-10 drubbing of the Pittsburgh Steelers here in town. Now, people will look at this video that we're doing streaming live. They're wondering, okay, why is Darren in Pittsburgh colors and Ike Taylor is in Chiefs colors? This just happened to be a coincidence, ladies and gentlemen. But
But I'm
but we
repping, I'm repping the 412 all day. That's the Pittsburgh area code. My
okay.
hoodie is 412. That's Pittsburgh area code. So yeah, even though I got on the Kansas City Chiefs red, don't forget in that emblem for that Steeler is some red in there. So I'm always rep Pittsburgh.
Okay, well, just so people know, I'm repping my show, The Ship, so that's just black and gold. That just happened to be the colors and stuff like that, and I
Okay,
just like
okay.
black because it makes me look a little bit slimmer. But looking at that, what was your takeaway from the first time these two teams played 3 weeks ago when Kansas City beat them 36-10?
They just dominated. They dominated in every phase. You know what I'm saying? Special teams, offense, and defense. You know, they came out guns blazing. And that's just where the Patrick Mahomes got hot, the running game got hot, special teams got hot. And you already know when you go behind against the Kansas City Chiefs, that defense is built to get after the quarterback and create turnovers. And that's something the Pittsburgh Steelers didn't do at that time. They didn't create a turnover. I think the Kansas City Chiefs wound up creating 3 turnovers that game. So now you're giving Patrick Mahomes extra opportunities to score, and you know he's going to capitalize on it. So that's what happened.
Yeah, Chiefs did have one interception from Big Ben and a couple of fumbles. Patrick Mahomes in that game was 23 of 30, 258 passing, only 3 touchdowns. But like you said, one of the things that Patrick has been able to do towards I think the second half of the season, especially after that the drubbing that the Chiefs had against the Tennessee Titans, was he limited the number of turnovers that he had. I think he's had 18 touchdowns and 3 interceptions since that loss to the Tennessee Titans. One of the differences that I saw in that game was T.J. Watt. T.J. Watt had some bruised or cracked ribs in that game. Mike Tomlin is feeling that he's going to be healthy going into this game, and defensively, he feels like they'll be able to do some things different this time around with the healthy T.J. Watt. Your thoughts on the defense of the Pittsburgh Steelers and how they match up with Kansas City offensively this time around?
Well, if it was well, first of all, Coach T said he's not paralyzed because he feel like they got it. He's not paralyzed on the chance they have because last time they played, the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs, it was a close game. Patty Mahomes just came through for the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, if I'm a defensive coordinator and I'm telling TJ Watt and I'm telling Alex Highsmith, hey man, I know y'all boys used to getting sacks. This sack record is over with. Hey, TJ, you done did your thing. You probably get the league's defensive player of the year with a 22 and a half sacks. But I need y'all just to contain Patrick Mahomes. I need y'all to get up to Patrick Mahomes, his throwing level. I don't need Patrick Mahomes scrambling because when Patrick Mahomes scrambles, that's when a lot of his big plays happen. You know what I'm saying? That's when Tyreek Hill get loose. That's when Travis Kelsey. That's when they get loose. That's when Hartman get loose. You know what I'm saying? So when I see that part, if I'm a DC and I'm playing against the Kansas City Chiefs, when it comes down to them third downs, man, just make sure Patrick Mahomes don't have an opportunity to scramble and have them extra yards and have them extra plays and extend plays like he usually do.
You're a former cornerback, and I'm gonna get to that in a second. But these two teams, in their storied franchise history, they've only faced off against each other twice. And the last time they played, and they split the series, but the last time they played, the Steelers came to Kansas City, beat them 18-16. If I remember correctly, Le'Veon Bell rushed for almost 200 yards, but Steelers won by kicking 6 field goals. The Chiefs was only able to muster up 16 points. If you're Mike Tomlin and you know that the last time you came here you was only able to put up 10 points, and seeing how what they were able to do over the last couple of weeks, I think they had 16 points last week, 3 field goals and a touchdown. How are you going to score enough points against this team to win out and
When
pull off the upset?
Pittsburgh ain't looking at no points. By the end of the day, man, we get paid by the wins. We don't care how we win. We don't care if the score is 10-9. We don't care if the score is 18-16. That's just what it is. I think a lot of fans, a lot of people, especially with the rule change, man, they like the high scoring games. They like the 35-42 games. It looks good, especially if you have fantasy. But it's a reason why fantasy fantasy doesn't come on in the playoffs because the games are tight now. Every possession counts. You only get a few possessions, so you can cut 4 or 5 possessions in half, which you used to have in the regular season. So I just know how the Pittsburgh Steelers think. We don't care what it is. We don't care what the score is. We get paid by the win. So as long as you come out the stadium with a W, really that's all what matters. We ain't looking for no style points.
You listen to the ship here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Darren Smith with you with our Chiefs pregame special, joined by the one and only Ike Taylor, two-time Super Bowl champion who played defensive back. And look, because you played DB, I would love to know, as you mentioned, Tyreek Hill, even to Travis Kelsey, but you mentioned McCole Hardman, Demarcus Robinson, Byron Pringle. The Chiefs have so many weapons. How would you, as a former player, who would you prefer to match up with, and how would you match up against them?
Man, it really don't matter. The speed they got it over there, man. It's you can only hope to contain them, and by containing them is getting your hands on them. I think it's a lost art now in this day and era when it comes to the cornerbacks. Cornerbacks are so afraid to get beat. You mess around with a Tyreek Hill, it's gonna be a slow or fast death regardless, just because of his speed. Now, what I will do, I would throw off his timing. If I was the cornerback, I would throw off his timing. I would get into his bump and run. When it's time for TJ Watt and the other outside linebackers to get to the quarterback, I'm gonna go ahead and tell them in the huddle, hey man, I need y'all this play. Here's the reason why I need y'all this play. I'm about to bump and run one of the fastest guys in the NFL. So I'm gonna disrupt some of the time between him and Patrick Mahomes. I just need y'all to throw the pass off just a little bit. And that's what it is. But everybody's so scared to get beat. You can't be scared out there playing that corner. But I do think nowadays they don't teach what they taught back in the day, that good bump and run coverage.
One of the things that teams figured they had the blueprint with what Tampa Bay did in the Super Bowl is playing too high and trying to make sure that the Chiefs don't beat them deep. It wasn't until mid-season that it seemed like it finally clicked to Patrick, like, you know what, if the defense is going to give me everything underneath, let me just take it underneath and continue to stretch the drives and stretch the plays, and then once they come up, then I can possibly hit them over the top. Uh, does Pittsburgh still have that type of personnel where they can kind of mirror that particular type of defense to keep Patrick and them from throwing over the top?
Yeah, take Patrick Mahomes finally figured out he's going to take what the defense give him. Tom Brady been doing this for 20 odd years. I'm
Exactly.
just going to take what the defense give me. That's why it's taking him so long to pass the Drew Brees and the Peyton Mannings when it come down to the yards, the passing yards and the completions and the touchdown and all that. But by the end of the day, the man got seven something two Super Bowls. So that says a lot. I think them going to that too high shell look, which is two safeties over the top of everything, kind of like an umbrella. It took Patrick Mahomes to get out his comfort zone to be like, you know what, I do just need to settle down. Yeah, we've been winning by style points. Yeah, we've been blowing a lot of teams out. And once he figured that out, man, the scores has been little to none. But again, they ain't worrying about no style points, man. They coming home with W's.
One of the things that a lot of teams don't do, Ike, and you can kind of attest to that, if you beat a team in the regular season and you face them again in
Hmm.
the playoffs, you generally feel like what you did at that time worked, and so you don't really try to. I would say don't put new things in, kind of like Kansas City last year. They initially drubbed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They blitzed them like 28-7 or 28-0 before kind of holding on to win at the end of the game. But then you look in the Super Bowl. Tampa Bay made all the adjustments that Kansas City didn't feel like they had to do. If you're Kansas City, knowing that you beat this team handily by 26, where do you feel like the improvement or the changes need to come if you're trying to beat them twice in a matter of 3 weeks?
So you just go back to what you did well in that game, and you look at what you did wrong, and you try to X that out. Now it's going to be a few wrinkles on both sides. What I mean by a few wrinkles is it's going to be a few wrinkles in formations. It's going to be a few wrinkles in personnel. It's going to be a few wrinkles in the play calling. You know what I'm saying? So if you had a high percentage on first down off a play action pass, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs, you might not go play action pass for the first quarter. You might just run the ball instead. If on second down, man, you used to throwing screens, you might not throw screens. You might want to throw the ball deep, especially if it's second and short. So them the few wrinkles you look at as an organization, as a team, on what you need to do to adjust.
Knowing this former team of yours, the Steelers, you play defensive back. Now, if you're the Kansas City Chiefs and you're Tyrann Matthews, you're Travarius Ward, you're Legarius Sneed, again, you had success, especially you get an interception, a Big Ben. But this
Mm-hmm.
time around, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, even your tight end, and there is expectation of Juju Smith-Schuster playing in the game Sunday night. How do you defend, knowing that Roethlisberger has all this great talent around him? Does Ben Roethlisberger, one, does he still have the arm to get the ball down the field? And if you're the defensive backs for the Chiefs, how you playing the Steelers receivers this second time around?
Well, I'm just guessing the Chiefs don't think Ben wants to throw the ball deep. Now, on the other hand,
You're probably
they're
hoping he
they're going
does.
to say for the Pittsburgh Steelers, hey, I'm sure Coach T and the wide receiver coach telling the receivers, we're gonna throw the ball deep, man. So it's two things that's gonna happen. Either y'all gonna catch the ball or y'all can get a pass interference. Make sure any of the defenders from the Kansas City Chiefs don't allow them to get an interception or bring down the ball. Point blank, period. They're gonna let Dante work one on one in some situations. They're gonna let Juju, if he's playing, he's gonna work the middle. Firemuth, if he's playing the tight end, they're gonna let him work the middle as well. Chase Claypool, you already know they're gonna try to give him the ball ASAP, and he's a deep threat guy. So that's how you gotta look at it if you're a Kansas City Chiefs. But on the Pittsburgh offensive side, his name is Najee. And I think
Hmm.
the Kansas City Chiefs should get a heavy dose of Najee. Not only keep Patrick Mahomes off the field, but at the same time let their play action pass work for
Man, I'm so glad you mentioned because that's exactly where I was going. The Chiefs
you.
they've had a hard time of stopping the run game, and I was going to ask you how effective do you think Najee's going to be in this game Sunday night?
If Pittsburgh give them 30 plus attempts, they're going to be
Ooh.
very effective. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand what the Chiefs defense is built off of. The Chiefs defense is built off of. Hey man, I'm just guessing personnel wise, we're gonna usually always be up because we got a high power offense.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna draft and I'm gonna get a lot of guys who can get to the quarterback. Now on the other hand, when you talk about them kind of guys, them are lighter guys up front. So you're able to run. You're talking about the old Indianapolis Colts when they had Mathis and company and Freeney. They were light guys, but between Peyton Manning and Reggie Wayne and Marvin Harrison and Dallas Clark, they felt like they will always be up. So they're gonna let their guys get sacks and get to the quarterback. Now, what we did as an organization, man, We wound up just running the ball with Deuce Staley and Jerome Bettis and company and Willie Parker and company, and we kept everything under control, and the points wasn't that high. But that's what you got to do with the Kansas City Chiefs right now because of their body type, because of their personnel type. You don't want to get into a passing shootout with them because that's exactly how they built on defense. They are built to attack the quarterback, get to the quarterback, let's cause interceptions and turnovers from the quarterback. Now, when you start running the ball on them, they're gonna start tapping their helmet because they're tired in the third and fourth quarter of the offensive line putting their body and their weight up on them.
We are joined by Ike Taylor right here on the ship here on Sports Radio 810 WSB. Ike, now look, I've got to know your thoughts on this. Now, knowing that every team has a particular weak link, and if it's on the defense side of football, I'm going to put you on the quote unquote Kansas City Chiefs in that on the defense right now. You know that if a former head coach who was a defensive coordinator was the head coach of the opposite team, and they're looking at game film, are they not telling Ben Roethlisberger, if you see number 49, if you see
You
number
took the words out of my
56,
mouth. You took the word. You're reading my brain right now, Smitty.
I'm
You're
going to
reading
let
my
you
because
finish that because you know where I'm going.
that's what everybody else doing. So you see 49, you see 51, especially in passing situations. Go to them. Where's Waldo? We called it. Where's Waldo when we look on that field? So you see him, you go exactly to him. And this is no knock to 49 or 51. It's just what they've been putting on tape for the past couple of years. That's just what it is. Now, when you see Ingram, who once was a Pittsburgh Steeler, we ain't gonna run to his side because
Right.
he has helped the Kansas City Chiefs, build their foundation on the run game. We're gonna run opposite of Ingram, So that's how you gotta look at it. When you look at Chris Jones is a heck of a D tackle, but he's more of a passing attack D tackle than a run stopping D tackle. So we're going to double him. We're going to go straight to him, and we're going to tell Najee, hey, you got to make one of these linebackers miss, bro, and get upfield,
Yeah.
not go east and west.
Why do you think it did not work out with Melvin Ingram in Pittsburgh?
That's just what it is, man. It's just sometimes you try to get a piece to the puzzle, and that's the wrong piece to the puzzle. So, and Melvin felt like he shouldn't been sitting behind Alex Highsmith, and I understand. So it's just the fit at that time wasn't right for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but obviously he got traded to the Kansas City Chiefs, and that fit was exactly the way he was looking for. It was perfect on both sides. It was perfect for him because, like Coach Tomlin said in training camp, he's a run game bully. And that's exactly what the Kansas City Chiefs was missing at the time, a run game bully. So that's all it is. It's all about personnel who fit well. And he just didn't fit at that time for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he fit down well for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, and I agree with you wholeheartedly. And look, Chiefs fans are very grateful. Of course, they wish he probably would have signed in the off season, but we see how things turn full circle. Still made to Kansas City, and the good thing is by them signing him, bringing him in, they were able to cover up the flaw that they had by moving Chris Jones outside. Now, of course, Steve Spagnuolo talked to the media this weekend and did mention that when they signed Jaron Reed, that kind of allowed them to move Chris Jones outside. But the thing is, you never should have moved Chris Jones outside. You change your personnel. But with him, with Melvin Ingram coming in, got a chance to move Chris Jones back inside, and the defense and actually the whole energy of the team picked up, after that loss to the Tennessee Titans. Looking at this game, second time around, let's go to the coaching. You got Mike Tomlin, you got Andy Reid. Both of them have won a Super Bowl as a coordinator, both of them won as a head coach. Do you see any particular advantage coaching
Nah,
wise, one versus the other?
nah, not at all, Smitty.
Smart
Ain't
man.
no disadvantage on both parts. Andy Reid, just Andy Reid, man. He's been doing this for a long time. If you ask the players who play with Coach Andy Reid, they're gonna say he's more like dad. He love him. He give him opportunity. If you look at the guys he drafted, a lot of them guys he drafted had a lot of question marks coming out, and they get to Kansas City, and for some reason, man, they put a halo, and the Reed put a halo over their head. You know what I'm saying? So when you got a guy who can not only do good with young men on the field but off the field as well, that's saying a lot about Coach Andy Reid. Same situation with Coach Tomlin. I mean, we all kind of dog Chase Claypool wanted to get his spotlight when they played the Minnesota Vikings, and he took some time off the clock. But that Tuesday, I think Coach Tomlin came out with his own little gig on his press conference, and he said, "Look, man, I'm trying to build men on and off the field. Some men catch on faster than others, and this is what I'm here for. I'm here for the Chase Claypool situations to let him understand. Not only don't you do that, but man, this can carry over off the field as well. So let me coach and let me guide this young man off the field." So it's two of the same coaches. They got the same mindset, whether it's on or off the field. That's why I don't think on both sides it's a disadvantage.
I know looking at Andy Reid, as you mentioned, he's considered a player's coach, and Mike T, to his credit as well. But again, I'm going to kind of shift the narrative right quick. But why do you think it did not work with the Antonio Brown and a Le'Veon Bell, to where even Le'Veon Bell coming to Kansas City for a year, getting a chance to, on a team that made it to the Super Bowl, and then he had some words about Andy Reid in the offseason when the Chiefs didn't bring him back or anything like that. I mean, why do you think that Tomlin and Reed are those type of player coaches that some players that you think would thrive well underneath them don't seem to grasp?
Well, I think with Le'Veon, more with Le'Veon, it was the money part. I think Le'Veon was so upset that his offensive line was talking about his money. And
Mm,
usually that should be a man law in that locker room,
I
because
remember
not
that.
only are we going against other players, but we're going against the front office too. So when it's time to get paid, that's the first thing the front office is going to say, Smith, is what you didn't do for this organization, what you didn't do for this team. And you looking at the organization like, dang, I didn't gave you 1,000 yards rushing. I didn't gave you damn near 900 yards receiving. What you mean? I've been hitting Pro Bowls ever since I've been here. I'm one of y'all. I'm a Pittsburgh Steeler on Le'Veon aspect. But I think it was more in the locker room when the offensive line that came out and said, man, he's being selfish. Because Le'Veon looking at it like, man, when it was time for y'all to get y'all money, I wasn't doing nothing but rooting for y'all. Now it's
Right.
time for me to get my money, and y'all saying I'm being selfish and y'all need me here. Y'all got to understand who we're fighting. We're not only fighting other teams trying to win ball games, but when it come down to get paid, I got to fight this front office. So I think it was more of that standpoint with Le'Veon than anything. With the AB situation, man, AB just AB.
He just
You
crazy.
know, AB,
Okay.
yeah,
Can't
AB,
get right.
AB, yeah, AB just AB. You know what I'm saying? I think it just got to a point where Coach T was probably tired of the fines and tired of what's going on and off the field in the locker room. So it just got to a point where like, man, I just got to cut my ties with him.
Looking at this matchup, Pittsburgh Steelers 9-7-1, Kansas City Chiefs 12-5. Steelers looking for their seventh Super Bowl title in their organization. The Chiefs, their fourth, their second in 3 seasons. If they're able
Right,
to,
right, right.
looking to get to the Super Bowl for the third straight season. Only three other teams in NFL history have done that. The last team to do it was, of course, Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. Looking at this matchup, Sunday Night Football, this is the primetime matchup of the weekend. I know we got the Monday night game, but we're looking at Sunday night game, and that's where everybody's looking at. How does this break down? Who wins this matchup? Which team advances?
Man, you already know I'm rocking with Pittsburgh.
I'm
That's what
trying to. I'm not. No, no.
that's
You my
and the
guy.
reason
You my guy. You my
and the
guy.
reason
You
Smith,
50 grand.
the
You my
reason
guy.
why
But come on.
Smitty, the reason why I'm rocking with Pittsburgh is I didn't seen this story before. I done
Mm.
been through the 2005 where we had to go on the road and we had to, play out of five top four offenses. And the defense showed up and the running game was off the chain. I didn't seen that. So seven said it today like we ain't supposed to win anyway. Might as well go out and have fun. Little do you know that's a cool little mental hustle that seven is doing. So that's
Facts.
that's how I look at it. So I know the organization. They felt like as a team, they've been behind the eight ball. Everybody counting them out anyway. When you have a 4% chance on Sunday, but you got to beat the Ravens to get in, but then you got to worry about the Jacksonville Jaguars beating the Colts, and they wind up beating the Colts. Then you got to worry about the tie between the LA Chargers and the Las Vegas Raiders, but the Raiders wind up winning. That says a lot. So that 4% chance turned into, man, I told y'all we was gonna get in this tournament, and that's all. That's all we care about as a
Right.
Pittsburgh Steeler. When it comes down to December and January football, all we care about is getting into the tournament. Once we get into the tournament, regardless on what you did for the regular season, everybody's record is 0-0. So I understand, I feel what you're saying, but it's a lot of glitz and glamour. It's a lot of looking at the perimeter guys. So say for the Kansas City Chiefs, but schematically, Coach T, like, man, I feel good going into KC.
And again, look, and to your point, Mike Tomlin, as they say, is playing with house money. I mean, really, because you wasn't expected to be here. They don't expect you to win anyway. So what do you have to lose by going out and just playing your game?
Yeah, Coach T ain't tripping, man. Like Coach T a couple of years ago, he went 8-8 with the fourth string Duck Hodges quarterback. Who does that? They got a lot of coaches who got, first, second round Pro Bowl quarterbacks that still at the time was going 6-10. So the
Yeah,
fact Coach T wound up mustering that kind of, input out of all his guys, that says a lot about Coach T. And that's all we talk about is the tournament. So once Pittsburgh get in the tournament, man, everything is fair game.
Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season
That's
as a head
special.
coach, and yeah,
That's special.
in 15 seasons, he's never had.
That's
Now
special.
look,
That's
he's come
special.
close a couple of times, but
It come
but he's been
close.
able
It,
to pull.
it ain't. It ain't no almost, Smitty. Like I
No,
can't
that's what I'm saying.
almost.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying the fact that even when it looked like this season it wasn't going to go that way, his coaching, got them to be even
Yeah,
nine
we, we
seven and
don't
one.
we don't we don't do almosts. You can't almost. If your light bill say $1 and you give them 97 cents, they're gonna shut
You ain't
that
lying.
thing off. So we
They're going to
ain't we
shut it
ain't
off.
doing we ain't doing no almosts. Coach T in 15 years never
Oh
had
yeah,
a
that's my
losing
guy.
season. Ain't no come close. Ain't no almost. The man been doing this thing for 15 years.
I do want to ask you, what do you feel that Ben Roethlisberger's legacy will be once he's now, whether it's this game, Super Bowl, what have you, when his career is over with? How do you think he'll be remembered?
Gamer, gamer. He
Hmm.
man, the man is a gamer, man. The man is Jason. I don't know if anybody who's watching our show right now remember the scary movie Jason. You know what I'm saying? Jason never ran. Everybody used to run fast from Jason, but Jason just walk here, catch you, and he'll smoke you. And that's the same thing with Seven. Like everybody get their hands on Seven, they can't never bring him down. So he's something like a Houdini. Like every time you think you got him, he'll pull something out that had to make a play. It's like, dang, I just had to do around the neck, or dang man, I was right there about to do a head around the ankle. How in the world did he get off of this? How did he get out of this? And that's been Seven throughout the course of his career. And usually when he do that, a big play happens. But if you need a game-winning drive, Seven, I think out of the top three in NFL history, he has been doing nothing but game-winning drives. I remember the Super Bowl in Tampa. When Larry Fitz scored that touchdown on me, and we only had a few seconds to go in the game, and we wound up getting a holding call. Seven drove that thing down damn near 95 yards. That's what Seven do. That's all he been doing. So people might not like the style of Seven and how he play because he's not your typical pocket quarterback. He's not your Aaron Rodgers. He's not your Tom Brady. He's not your Peyton Manning. But Seven is up there. He's not your Drew Brees. But Seven is up there when you want to talk about who needs the ball in their hands when it's clutch time. Put it in Seven hands.
I was telling people on my ESPN show that, or telling my coaches that the thing that worried me about Big Ben in the game after Christmas, and I was like, look,
Uh huh.
I felt the Chiefs were going to win, but I said, but don't underestimate Big Ben because even though he hasn't played well, even though he kind of comes to the term this is last season, he can still sum it up. Saying the spirit of old Big Ben. From from previous years. And again, he's got nothing to lose by going out and even though I saw with my own eyes during pregame where it looked like he couldn't throw the ball more than 15 yards, in warmups, he can still because it's the playoffs, got nothing to lose. He might still have something up his sleeve, in my opinion.
He gonna
That
find a way.
yeah,
The Seven always find a way. He find a way. And and by the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I think people gonna really like how in the hell he played with all these injuries. You know what I'm saying? I look at other quarterbacks. I look at them like track runners. You can't run track 90%. You
right.
ain't gonna make it. When you want to talk about Olympic track runners, them guys got to be at 100% all the time, and that's how I look at a lot of quarterbacks in the league. They got to be 100% all the time. Seven ain't never 100%. From what I know, from how I seen Seven play, from the injury Seven had, Seven playing at 60% down there every week. Something is wrong with Seven. I'm talking about major. major. And this ain't no off season. I'm gonna let you know what I done did in the off season. I had to have this surgery in the off season for y'all to feel sorry for me. Seven don't care nothing about that. Man, get me to the season and give me a chance week to week. That's seven all day.
Now, I respect your opinion. I think you're wrong, but I respect your opinion about this
So how
outcome.
you think I'm wrong?
Well, because I'm about to tell you what's
You're
going to
right.
happen
You're right.
Sunday. Now, again, Kansas City scenarios are different. Kansas City, they got a taste of what it's like to lose in the AFC Championship game in Patrick's first year. This is a long roundabout way to get to it, but this is how I see Kansas City in the road ahead of them because they lost in the manner in which they lost to the Patrick Mahomes and I'm sorry to Tom Brady in 18. Patrick had that conversation with Tom Brady in the locker room afterwards, kind of like Ray Lewis
Right.
and Peyton Manning did when their seasons were coming to a close. That next year, they used that as a motivating factor to get to the Super Bowl and win it. Year after that, of course, they're trying to run it back. They're in the situation they do last year. Best team in the league. Go there, suffer some injuries prior to the Super Bowl, but they still make it, have a loss, come back. This time around, knowing the experience factor, the only one that really has obviously that type of playoff experience is Big Ben. To an extent, maybe Michael Fitzpatrick and Minka and some of the players on the defense. But Big Ben, obviously, championship experience. He's the only one, I think, from the Steelers that has the type of experience. I think the experience and the fact that they've been up, they've been down 24-0, to come back and win. They face the different types of adversity to get to where they need to get knowing that they want to get to the Super Bowl once again, knowing they want to get to the finish line, knowing that the season didn't end exactly how they wanted. They wanted number one seed to kind of have a chance to rest up. They know what's in front of them. I have the advantage of the Chiefs because one, they're at Arrowhead. This is
Which
this.
is loud, which is hard to play.
Oh yeah, and mind you now, it was loud day after Christmas. It's definitely going to be loud because the Chiefs fans know that okay, we've got to win this game. At least get to the AFC divisional round. We'll see. Tennessee will probably play the first game if Kansas City gets past this game. Kansas City will host a wild divisional game. You see what will happen with Tennessee if Tennessee gets somehow loses, which I think will happen. I think they'll lose. The Chiefs, if they win, will host the AFC Championship game. I just think that knowing what could potentially be at stake, I think Kansas City will play with that fierce sense of urgency and try to get out of this game and try to put the game away early, kind of like they did in December. Again, you can never underestimate. I'm someone who I don't underestimate Big Ben. I think that if the Chiefs do anything, it could be a repeat performance, but I think it takes a longer time for them to get there to that point. In December, they jumped on them quickly, and they jumped on the Steelers so
But
fast. Go
Smitty,
for it.
You living in the past, bro. You talking about 24-0 when you talk about the Houston Texans. All the Houston Texans had to do was run the ball. But when you get too cute for yourself, just as the Atlanta Falcons were having the Tom Brady company in the Super Bowl, they got too cute. So as a coordinator, you know what? You wanted to look. You thought you was going to beat the New England Patriots. So you say, you know what? I want my stats to look better than Tom Brady. You know, all Tom Brady did in that second half was he ran the ball. That's exact. They ran themselves into a Super Bowl, another Super Bowl. The same thing with the
Ah,
Houston Texans and Patrick Mahomes. All they had to do was run the ball. You only get three timeouts in the second half. There's no need for you to have a shootout with Patrick Mahomes. But since they wanted to have a shootout against Patrick Mahomes and company, then Patrick Mahomes like we're gonna do this all day. So yeah, I look at that as OC ego. When the OC have an ego that big because he like his new toy and this toy can do a lot of things passing, yeah, that's exactly what happened. So it could
oh,
it could have went the other way as well. So that's why I'm liking Pittsburgh right now because them boys like, man, we're not expected to win this ball game anyway.
but you know what? Look, I'm so glad you said what you just said. But see, I'm going to flip it because I'm not worried about the OC or even to that extent Andy Reid. It would have been more so had you said D coordinator because I think the Chiefs got to wait, and that's the other thing. Chiefs got a wake up call in Cincinnati because they had a two touchdown
Nah,
lead. Three, you
he
don't
was
think so?
stubborn. Nah, nah, the DC for Casey was stubborn.
And
Oh
I
man,
know,
this
I
is
know,
this.
I'm saying that's my point. He learned his lesson with that loss.
I don't.
You
You
don't think so?
that's nah. That's who you are. That's
Mm.
that's that that's just who. That's what you've been. That's who you are. That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? When it's When it's nut cutting time and it's time to make the right play call, and all your defense say is cover one, cover one, cover one, cover one. Yeah, that's well. What about cover two? I don't like cover two. What about cover four? I don't like cover four. All I know is cover one. How do you not on 3rd and 27 get somebody to help with Jamar Chase and you know he been cutting up and he been acting a fool? That's just what you. That's just what you do. That's your resume. So you can't be mad at the play on 3rd and 27. 3rd and 27, man. I'm playing too deep. I'm not even about to have no corner up there bumper run. I'm not even about to put my corner in a one-on-one situation. But since you called it, coach, I got to play what you called. So coaches don't figure that. Coaches don't think. Same thing with Andy Reid in his offense. You know what I'm saying? Andy Reid had to tell. He just had to tell. He had to tell his toy, "Hey man, let's just check it down. We gotta check it down, bro. I'm used to as a play caller, and Eric be enemy as well. I'm used to as a play caller. ESPN, NFL Network, highlights. CBS, Fox, highlights. That's what I'm used to because I drink the Kool-Aid what they feed me. So now you're not getting that no more. It forced Coach Andy Reid to adjust. I don't think the DC is like that. I think egotistically, he's just not like that for the Kansas City Chiefs. You got Honey Badger, you got Chris Jones, you got a young Sneed sitting over there. He's been a
Clark,
dog
yeah.
for the man. He's been a damn dog over there for the Kansas City Chiefs. You got a lot of dogs over there, so you just get caught up and you just like my guy gonna beat your guy anyway. Don't forget they got some other dogs on the other side as well too. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just looking at the matchup from corners to receiver wise when it come down to Pittsburgh Steelers and the Kansas City Chiefs. The Pittsburgh Steelers, man, them receivers get out the cut fast. And corners, y'all big corners don't get out the break fast. You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna be a game of attrition. It's gonna be, man, who gonna win who battle the longest. Yeah, they're gonna win some battles, but we gonna win the war. That's how I'm always looking at the matchup, so say. You know, in a matchup, it's the OC versus the defensive coordinator. And I just think that right now, y'all DC, man, his ego had y'all losing that Cincinnati game, and it's gonna carry on to this game just as well.
Ike T, trust me, I know. I was there in the press box. It had me rip out what little hair I have up top, seeing it because again, like you, it's certain times I'm like, what are you doing? And of course, um, it's funny because I think about it. We're on the Zoom call. Of course, he's not addressing the media till later on that week. So, and so when we lose and in the manner in which we lose, it's one thing to lose. Like had the team lost to the Los Angeles Chargers in LA when we were out there, okay, it ebb and flow. But to lose that game like they lost in Cincinnati where you were up by 14, not once, not twice, but three times. Now I'm more so upset at the offense because you only scored 3 points in the second half. But even defensively, you didn't make any adjustments when Jamar Chase is inching up to 266 yards receiving. Like,
That's
what are you
that's my
doing?
point exactly. But you got to give Cincinnati Bengals they props on
Oh
defense.
yeah, oh yeah.
Like we figured it. Like KC ain't about to be KC what it was 2 years ago. When
I
all
agree
this
with
high
that.
flying, a lot of score. And I remember Coach LeBeau said this the best. Give a defense, give the NFL 2 years, and we catch on. And
Yep.
it's been 2 years. In the 2 years now KC got to adjust, and now teams has been adjusting to KC. So it ain't the glitz and glam. It ain't the Porsches. They ain't the Ferraris no more. Them boys got to get back to them Ford F-150s and them Dodge Ram trucks. When I want to talk about scoring in a game of attrition and to have 7 minute offenses, this ain't a minute. This ain't a 3 minute offense no more. The league ain't letting it happen no more. Unless your personnel is just greater than their personnel, then KC gonna look like the old KC. But when it's evenly matched, it's not gonna happen no more, bro.
I do want to ask you this, and we'll get to our final thoughts, and I'll pick my winner as well. But I do want to ask you this: we saw a scenario where Bill Belichick against and his team, the Patriots, against the Buffalo Bills, run the ball 46 times and only throw a pass in 3 times. He did what it took to win. Now, people get upset at me because look, I do understand we got Patrick, we do have a shiny trophy, but I tell they get upset because I'm like, you can still run the football, especially when you're up. There's no harm in running the football. I know, and I know Patrick might not get all the fantasy stats you all want, but the name of the game is to win and to advance. Patrick, to his credit, talked about it later on in the season that if they had to mirror what the Patriots did, he's fine with that as long as it, of course, contributes to a win and they move further. But do you think, because you're talking about egos, talking about coaches, and you know the DNA of them. I'm always feeling that it's not in Andy's DNA to run the football, no matter how successful it
It's not.
is.
It's not. That's not coach. But when the Chiefs did win the last Super Bowl, I thought the running back should have been the MVP at the time,
Well,
not Patrick
Damian
Mahomes. And
Williams, we talked about that today.
this is no disrespect to Patrick Mahomes. I thought the running back, and they asked what was the game plan, and Andy Reid said the game plan, let alone the players as well, said the game plan was to run the ball. They thought they was gonna pass the ball. But like you just said, that's not in Coach Andy Reid's DNA. He do not want to hand the ball off. You know what I'm saying? He wants to throw that thing 35 to 45 times. That's what he truly wants to do.
Hmm. Well, I mean, we'll see how it all plays out. Of course, I got the Chiefs winning. Before we get out of here, I do want to get your thoughts on the first two games. You've got the Tampa Bay Bucks hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. How you see that game going?
That's gonna be a close game, but I'm gonna go with the Tampa Bay Bucks. I'm not gonna bet against Tom Brady. This is his season. You know, when it comes down to the playoffs, this when he turned up. You know, y'all can have all these regular season awards and everything else, man. This is what I do in the playoffs. I think the AB situation kind of poured some more gasoline
Oh yeah,
on the fire for Tom Brady to prove, and it's the Godwin. So now you got Grayson, you got Miller, two kind of unsung heroes right now in the past couple of weeks for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You got playoff Leonard, he's about to come back in the form. And yes, they're missing some guys on defense, but as long as you got Tom Brady makes every possession counts.
and then of course the second game that me and some of my people are looking forward to. Cowboys, 49ers. This obviously look the last two times these teams played in the playoffs was of course back in '95 when they're trying to get to the Super Bowl. So your thoughts on this matchup? Who wins this one?
I got the 49ers. And
Mm,
the reason why I got the 49ers, man, is just
you
it's
don't
the
trust Dak.
backyard. It's the back. Nah, it has nothing to do with that. It's the backyard bully. You know, if you look at Dallas Cowboys and you look at the LA Rams, they damn near mirror each other. You know what I'm saying? And what I mean by mirroring each other, when it comes down to wide receivers and running backs and tight ends and quarterbacks, that's exactly what they have. Now, when it comes down to defense, you can say the same thing. They don't have Aaron Donald. They don't have a Jalen Ramsey, but they do have a Diggs. They do have a Michael Parsons. You know what I'm saying? They do have a DeMarcus Lawrence who revamped himself all because of Michael because of Michael Lawrence and how special he is. You got McGregory since he's back on, mentally, since he's back on good health. You see what he's
Yeah.
doing, but it's the physicality part. They want to get to the quarterback. They get tired of tackling the running back. And what exactly do the San Francisco 49ers do well? They run the ball. They got a receiver who's damn near running back.
Oh
You
God,
got
yeah,
Jimmy
Debo.
Jimmy Garoppolo. You got Jimmy Garoppolo, who ain't getting his props right now, but he's been coming up with some last game-winning drives to put these boys in a situation to get to the playoffs. So I just look at, okay, what's your style? You are your coach's personality. You talk about the Dallas Cowboys, they have a finesse personality. You talk about the 49ers, they have a let's go behind this bar and fight this thing out personality. So, and that's exactly what you need in the playoffs. So I'm going with the 49ers over the Dallas Cowboys.
Let me ask you just about that because when you look at the Dallas Cowboys and of course Dak Prescott's going to be under a lot of pressure. You're getting paid $75 million this year, and so Jerry Jones said this week is Super Bowl or bust. Um, my concern when it comes to the Cowboys is that they always seem to be playing from behind versus getting out there. Now, granted, depending on who they're playing, if they're playing a weaker opponent, it's easy for them to get out to a lead. But when you're playing, a team like the Arizona Cardinals or the Rams or someplace, a team with a winning record, it's hard for them to get out on top. And once if the other team gets out on top, you start to look at Dak's eyes when the camera zooms in. It looks all glossy. He makes some faces where he's looking to the sidelines trying to find answers. And
So I
Ezekiel
dis I
Elliott,
dis I disagree with that.
really.
I mean, yeah, we so we look at Dak and the 75 million. Dak like, man. y'all can't get mad at me because just because I got 75 don't mean I need to play a certain way.
No,
So I don't know
no,
what y'all
you don't have to play a certain way, but expectations are. Remember now, you think
not
that Jerry Jones, his expectations of, I'm paying
that's
you this
not
money,
Dak's fault.
I expect to see some results.
Yeah, y'all paying me this money off of the 4 years I did beforehand. That's what y'all really you paying me this money since I was 8 years old. So I bet on myself since I was 8. Now over the course of my career and through my growth and maturity, I have gotten to the point where 75 was in front of my face. And timing is everything. At the time, Dallas couldn't go get a better quarterback than Dak. That's just what it was. And you look at him being a natural born leader, just because he's a natural leader, he's always going to put his team in a situation to win the ball game. So people always look at the money part. Now, like I finally got my money because I bet on myself. I'm one out of 32 people in the world that start for an NFL team. So
Mm.
why y'all want to go to college, do what y'all need to do, why y'all want to start your own business and work for somebody? I said, you know what? I'm gonna gamble on myself and I'm gonna work for myself. And I wound up coming up with 75 M's in one season. That's how people gotta look at athletes. It's only 32, only 32 of them boys. So that's exactly how I look at it. So when it come down to the money part, man, that's the money since he was small. Like I got paid since I was small. It ain't had like Big Ben got paid since he was small. Aaron Rodgers got paid since he was small. Now everybody want to put their own expectations on it, so I get that part of it. But no, Dak is who he is. Dak 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 so far having led the Dallas Cowboys to a championship, having led a lot of game-winning drives. Now, when you want to talk about stats, yeah, the stats look good because they're always behind. They're always
That's what I tell
trying to
people. Yeah,
figure a way to come back. So the stats gonna look good. But by the end of the day, man, if I'm coming out with these L's anyway, it really don't matter.
so you don't think that's a scenario where Dallas wins Sunday?
Mm.
Ah,
I said this during mid-season. I do not want to play the Tennessee Titans. I do not want to play the San Francisco 49ers in the playoffs
mm.
because it's that old school bully ball. And if you look at exactly what the Tampa Bay Bucks did to Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl, it was bully ball. I'm going to hit you harder than you hit me for 60 minutes. That's a guarantee.
Damn, can't argue with that. Who were your original Super Bowl picks to start the season?
Man, I don't even know. Oh, I had Tampa out of the NFC.
You had the Chiefs. You can admit it.
Nah, I think I had Pittsburgh. I don't even. I love watching the Chiefs,
Oh yeah,
but and I wish Eric Bieniemy is my dog. I can't wait till he get a head coaching job. Shout out to Eric Bieniemy, man. Y'all sleeping on Eric Bieniemy. Go ahead and give that man a head coaching job. Y'all waiting too late for it anyway.
just don't go to Houston. I don't want them getting David Coley, so I can't
Right,
have
right,
that.
right, right.
Ike Taylor, man, look, I really appreciate you joining me for the hour. Let people know, what you got going on. If you got any foundations, anything you want to push, promote, and then also how they can reach out to you on social media.
Man, always check me out on Twitter, Ike_swagging you. You can catch me on Instagram, One of a Kind, or you can just type in Ike Taylor. Also got a cigar line that's called One of a Kind as well. One of a Kind cigars. That's under Ike Taylor as well. But you can look under HowardGCigars.com. So all I'm doing now is, man, training people, coaching my son, and slinging cigars and staying in shape.
All right. Well, thank you so very much for taking the time off. And then also, of course, you do have a podcast to let people know where how they can,
Make sure y'all go check out me
listen to
and
that
my
as well.
dog Mark Bergen Believe podcast, but ours is the Believe in Steelers podcast, and we ain't doing nothing but growing and blowing. So make sure y'all take the time out again and check out the Believe in Steelers podcast. Y'all can catch that on YouTube, Spotify, anything social, Facebook, anything social media, my Instagram, anything social media, man. Believe in Steelers podcast.
Speaking of Mark Bergen, we're going to be talking to him right after we come back from the break at the top of the hour. You are listening to The Ship with Darren Smith here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Thank you so very much, Ike Taylor, for your time.
Appreciate you, bro. Have a good one.